A few years ago, I looked in the mirror and I did not recognize the person staring back at me. My shoulders slumped under the weight of my stress. My energy was depleted before the day even began. I had tried countless diets, exercise programs, and quick fixes that all promised results, but left me spinning in circles. Maybe you're feeling the same way right now. Frustrated by conflicting advice, disappointed by short-lived results, and wondering if sustainable weight loss is even possible for you. I understand that pain. The feeling of being trapped in a body that doesn't reflect who you truly are or who you want to be. Today I'm going to share the weight loss advice I wish someone had told me years ago. Advice that would have saved me countless hours, immense frustration, and years of wasted effort. By the end of this video, you'll understand the critical mistakes most people make, the mindset shifts that transform temporary diets into sustainable lifestyle changes, and a practical roadmap to get you started immediately. This isn't about another restrictive diet or punishing exercise regimen. This is about reclaiming your energy, confidence, and health through proven strategies that actually work in real life, for real people with real challenges, busy schedules just like you. So if you're ready to stop the cycle of starting over every Monday and finally making progress that lasts, let's dive in. Part 1 is mistakes that wasted years of effort. The first major mistake I made, and I see countless others make, was believing that weight loss was primarily about willpower. I thought if I just tried harder, restricted more, or pushed through hunger, I'd eventually succeed. This led to extreme long-term diets that were impossible to maintain and left me feeling like a failure when I inevitably couldn't stick with them. What I didn't understand was that sustainable weight loss isn't about heroic levels of willpower or extreme restriction. It's about creating systems that work with your biology and not against it. It's about making changes you can actually maintain for life. The second critical mistake was focusing exclusively on the scale. I'd become obsessed with that daily number, letting it dictate my mood and sense of success. What I didn't realize was that weight fluctuates naturally due to water retention, muscle growth, and numerous other factors that have nothing to do with fat loss. This hyper-focus on weight led me to abandon strategies that were actually working, but weren't showing immediate scale results. I'd switch approaches constantly, never giving any method enough time to truly take effect. The third mistake that cost me years of progress was falling for what I call the all or nothing trap. I believed that I had to follow my plan perfectly or I'd failed completely. One unplanned cookie or a night out ruined my day, and I felt like I might as well just start over tomorrow, which often turned into next week, next month, or next year. This perfectionist mentality caused me to miss the most fundamental truth about weight loss. Consistency beats perfection every single time. The person who sticks with an 80% perfect plan will always outperform someone who repeatedly attempts and abandons a 100% perfect plan. Another massive mistake was ignoring the role of sleep in stress and weight management. I'd focus intensively on diet and exercise while staying up late, waking up early, or just not being able to fall asleep. What I didn't know at the time was that poor sleep can increase hunger hormones, increase cortisol, which is stress hormones, increase cravings, and all of that promotes fat storage, especially visceral fat storage, which is what you want to really avoid. Maybe the worst mistake I was making was treating weight loss as a temporary project rather than a permanent lifestyle change. Instead of going on diets with the understanding that once I reached my goal, I could just return to my previous eating habits. This thinking guaranteed that the weight would return, leading to a frustrating cycle of losing and regaining the same pounds over and over the course of years. Finally, I made another mistake of trying to overhaul everything at once. I'd attempt to completely transform my diet, start an intense exercise program, drink a gallon of water every day, meditate and journal, beginning all on the same Monday morning. By Wednesday, I'd be overwhelmed and abandoned, and I couldn't fit everything in, especially with a job and kids and wife and everything else I have to, do throughout the day. These mistakes that I seem to make over and over again caused me years of wasted progress, immense frustration, and a damaged relationship with food and my body. They changed the way I thought of myself and saw myself, and made me not trust my ability to make changes that I wanted to see, and made me eventually feel like I could never lose weight at all. If you've ever felt like that, you're not alone. A lot of people go through these same struggles, and that's why I'm so passionate about making these videos and providing the detailed guidance and step-by-step plans that can help you actually make progress and see real change in your life. Next, I want to talk about the mindset shifts that are crucial to long-term progress. The first, and maybe the most important mindset shift, was moving from outcome-focused to process-focused. Let me explain. Instead of fixating solely on the end result, like a certain weight you want to be, I began to focus on the daily actions that would eventually lead to that outcome. This meant celebrating consistent behaviors rather than just the outcome. Did I get my meals ready the night before for the next day? Or did I move my body that day? Did I go to bed on time? These daily wins became the measure of success, and ironically, when I focused on the process, the outcomes I wanted began to follow naturally. The second transformative shift was adopting an identity-based approach. Rather than saying, I'm trying to lose weight or I'm on a cut, I began thinking, I'm going to become the kind of person who prioritizes health. This subtle but powerful change meant that healthy choices weren't things I forced myself to do. They were simply expressions of who I was becoming. When temptation arose, instead of asking, do I want to eat this cookie? I'd ask, is this aligned with the person who I am, who I'm becoming? This simple reframe made making really tough decisions much clearer and created momentum that built upon itself. Another crucial mindset shift was embracing the concept of the minimum effective dose, or MED. Rather than assuming that more is always better, I began looking for the smallest intervention or the shortest workout that would produce the most meaningful results. This approach helped prevent burnout and made my healthy habits sustainable over time. This was also amazing because I had so many better things that I could be doing rather than spending 6 or 7 or 8 hours in the gym every single week. I figured out I didn't need an hour of strength training and an hour of cardio every single day to get results. In fact, I could cut that time in half or less than half and get better results than 90% of other people in the gym. I know that sounds crazy, but let me explain. The idea of the minimum effective dose is that doing the least amount of work to trigger muscle growth so that your muscles build when you go home and rest. So instead of working out for 2 hours, you could train for 30 to 40 minutes and get better results than someone who is overtraining in that same way and not eating the right way and not sleeping enough. Because that's what really grows muscle. And as you build your muscle, you already know that your resting metabolic rate increases, helping you burn more calories throughout the day. So the key takeaway is that high intensity training for a shorter amount of time can produce the same or better results when done consistently than someone who is overtraining for a couple hours. The energy I saved and the time that I saved by avoiding excessive exercise could then be channeled into other things like sleep, meditation, and preparing meals. But perhaps the most liberating mindset shift was learning to embrace imperfection. And this was hard. I realized that weight loss isn't a linear progress. It's more like a winding path with occasional detours and roadblocks. Once I accepted this reality, I could respond to setbacks with curiosity rather than shame, and asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why am I such a failure? Or other mean names that I don't even want to repeat. This change in mindset meant I no longer abandoned my entire plan after a single misstep. I developed the skill of getting back on track immediately rather than waiting for the perfect moment to restart. Another powerful shift was moving from an all or nothing approach to what I call a better than yesterday thinking. Instead of trying to be perfect, I focused on making choices that were simply a little bit better than my defaults. This progressive improvement over time created sustainable momentum without the pressure of perfection. Finally, I shifted from seeing weight loss as a solo journey to recognizing the power of community and support. I stopped trying to do everything alone and began building a network of like-minded individuals and friends who understood my goals and wanted to support me. This community provided accountability, encouragement, and the reassurance that I wasn't alone in my struggles. These mindset shifts didn't happen overnight, but as they took root, weight loss transformed from a frustrating battle to a self-expression and natural self-care process and personal growth. Now, I want to share the practical roadmap that will help you implement these shifts in your own life.